Blessed love, welcome to another version of Red Pills for the Matrix. And I consider this a very special episode. This is another series from our segment References to be Checked. And today on this auspicious day, we'd like to talk about a rapper, an entrepreneur, a real benevolent force that has passed away from the Los Angeles area. His given name is Ermias Joseph Ashgedom, but he is more popularly known as Nipsey Hussle. Now, Nipsey Hussle was a very impactful person in how he dealt with his community. He was a teacher, he was a motivator, and he was, a person who was not ever hesitant to be charitable. Now, I believe this is a person that if you are not aware of him, you should look him up, listen to his music, look at his interviews. I am sure it will add value to your journey. Now, the music you hear playing in the background as I speak, it's all Nipsey Hussle music. These are some of my favorite songs coming from that rapper. Now, I'm just going to share with you some of the most, let's say, insightful or noteworthy things I took from looking within his catalog and listening to his interviews, and checking the references that he mentioned and considering the philosophy he represented. Now, firstly, in his early life, Nipsey Hussle had very little interest in academics, didn't like school, right? And at a certain point, one of his teachers in high school said to him, I know you have the potential, I know you can do it, you're pretty smart. And just based on the fact that that teacher gave him that vote of confidence, he decided to spend that year with his head up. And he got a very great report as a result. Now, it leads me to ask the question. Bear with me, I'm just getting back in the groove. I haven't done a Red Pills for the Matrix episode in a while. But it leads to the question. Are we able to attain greatness by taking the prescribed path? The path that they set out for us. Going to school, getting a so-called education and pursuing a career. Is any greatness present in that route? Right? Because here we have a young lad who dropped out of high school and taught himself everything he needed to know. Right? I mean, this is a guy who was so ingenious. And I am going to list certain things that I'm sure will impact you in perceiving why I say these things about Ermias. And by the way, he was chosen from birth. Because Ermias, I believe, means God will rise, or God was risen. And you already know the story of Joseph. This guy is from, I think, Eritrea, Ethiopia, a place in Ethiopia, I believe. Now, this guy was full of what we would call outside the box thinking. And I find that this is great. There is a greater presence of critical and outside the box thinking in people who actually did not go to school. So that is something to also consider. But this is a guy who made made a computer as a child. Got the parts, read the books, assembled his first computer because he wanted to record music. So ingenious. This is a guy who created the first smart store. Marathon Clothing was the very first smart store where you could purchase a t-shirt and there is a kind of a device on it, and of course it wouldn't render the t-shirt uncomfortable, just a small thing that can be scanned. And after purchasing, or maybe a barcode, and after purchasing that shirt, you'll probably get a message that, hey, Nipsey has some unreleased music and you're going to be the first to hear it because, you know, you purchased a shirt from us. Apple, I think Apple bought the patent, stole the idea, or bought the idea. You know, this is the first rapper to create a campaign known as Proud to Pay. I think he made like 1,000 copies of one album, only 1,000. And he sold each copy for $100 US. I think Jay-Z bought like 10 or something like that. Very ingenious, you know. Nipsey Hussle, very inspiring, very insightful young man. He died at the age of 33 years old. You know, this is the guy that put me on to the book that's called The Ways of the Superior Man. That quote that says, the average man adapts himself to the world, while the uncommon man persists in adapting the world to himself. Therefore, all forms of progress is rest on the uncommon man's shoulder. This is the same guy that shared the quote with me that said, I'd rather to be at war with the world and at peace with myself than to be at peace with the world and at war with myself. This is all Nipsey Hussle. This is the guy that said that instead of trying to build a brick wall, lay a brick every day, and eventually you look up, you're going to have a brick wall. This is the guy that said the marathon continues. Which, by the way, I have a song with that title. I have 2 songs paying homage to Nipsey Hussle. Well, oh gosh, I have so much. But I have the marathon continue, which is his thing. You know, his slogan. You know, and I have another one known as Down as a Great. That's his title. He was the one who did that song with, I think, Kirko Banks. Check that out. Down as a Great. If you want another good one, you can check out Victory Lap, the title track for the album. That's an album actually. You know, so it was very ingenious, very brilliant, very insightful. And though he came from a very, let's say, volatile and violent environment, being a gangbanger, Nipsey was a member of the RSC, the Rolling 60s Crips. You know how violent the Crips and Bloods gangs can be in the States. You know, and this was a guy who realized the calling, realized the purpose of the Most High upon his life. You know, and this is why I'm saying, is there any greatness in the prescribed path? Going to school, working a 9-to-5 job, is there really any greatness there? Can we achieve anything significant playing these roles? Questions to be asked. Because this guy was a gangbanger, a common criminal, having shootouts with others, you know, probably selling crack cocaine, you know, hustling here and there, stealing, selling, you know, buying and selling and things of that nature. Common hoodlum that managed to shake the world. So is there any greatness in the prescribed path? What really led to his, because he was messing with the music and he loved it, but what led to his dedication, what led to his decision that, hey, I'm going to look at this as a permanent option is, at one point, him and his gang, or some members of his gang, were having a shootout with some other youths in a car park. Little did they know that the car park had cameras, alright? And every member of his gang that was there with him was picked up by the police, and for some reason, they could not identify him. Tall, fair complexion, let's say shiny hair, nigga, couldn't be identified for some reason. And he realized that there was an anointing, an appointment upon his life, and he said, hey, I'm going to turn this shit around. And you know, he dedicated himself to being an artist. Now, I can't give you the entire story here. I'm just giving you the reference, you know, trying to inspire you to check out his music and check out his words, his interviews, you know, because I believe he was assassinated. He was shot 10 times. and I believe that was an assassination. A person shot 10 times. That's not just retaliation. That's, yo, make sure the job is done. You get me? So basically, I believe he was assassinated, or let's say unalive, because YouTube does have some guidelines that apply to these types of situations. So forgive me, YouTube. He was unalived for, like, I think certain reasons, because he was initiated and he was beginning to become very egotistic when I listened to that debut album, because what he did was very uncommon. Going from an independent artist to approaching the record label Atlantic and having them work for you without you signing to them, because he was very adamant that he wanted to get rid of the middleman. So no record label. He wanted to move the record label and bring the music to the people, so he's not used or exploited by white executives. And he actually managed to pull this off. So those who, the music industry, I think those in the higher positions were not very happy with his career. And he said things, because listening to that debut album, Victory Lap, the album that Atlantic did for him, I realized that, you know, he said things that is evidence that there was some things going on that, you know, weren't in the public space, some things that were happening behind closed doors. He said, for instance, that my what was that line? My cultural influence even rival Lucian. I think that's Lucian Grange. That's an executive. Why would you compare influence to an executive? And then on that same track he said, message from the set, we accept your challenge. You know, so obviously there was something happening there. You know, additionally, he went even further to aggravate the regime by promoting Dr. Sebi, which is another reference you should check. Dr. Sebi was an herbalist from Honduras who has been curing quote-unquote incurable diseases from in the 1980s, 90s. Diseases such as AIDS, cancer, diabetes, blindness, all of these diseases that they say are incurable, Dr. Sebi have basically cured them. And when Nipsey Hussle discovered Dr. Sebi, he was trying to shed some light on how, you know, impactful and impressive the doctor was. Because, you know, that has to be impressive. A lot of people doesn't even know that every disease can be cured. Like, a lot of people just believe what the prescribed path says. Red pills, see? So basically he was very impressed, and he began promoting Dr. Sebi, buying his products and trying to make a documentary about it. So I think these things, because remember, a patient cured is a customer lost, and if you mess with pharmaceutical money, big pharma money, you're gonna be in problem, man. That's an established industry for the elite, and he was trying to promote that. So I think he fell out of favor with the order, you know, and as a result they unalived him. But this guy was very impactful, very, very impactful. You know, his artistry, I think, is centered around confidence, thought, let's say intellect, though always expressed in a way that is easily understood by any listener, even the layman. He's also a very good writer who paints very vivid images. Additionally, he's very he selects very great beats. His music, even listening to this now, this is a very old song, maybe 6, 7, 8 years, but it still has a vibe, you know. And this is why in closing I want to say to upcoming artists or individuals who are a part of the music industry, don't chase trends, don't chase waves. You know, I know it's good sometimes to give you some traction, but focus on solidifying something, doing something with power, something with impact, something with grace, something that will last, something that will be timeless and truthful. and relatable, generations after generations. You know, I was thinking about that song Crown, because I wanted to do a lyric breakdown for Crown. That's a song by Jay-Z, it's called Crown. But why I really wanted to do that one is because he sampled Sizzla Kalonji's song Solid as a Rock on that record. Jay-Z produced a sampled Sizzla Kalonji's vocals on Solid as a Rock on that track, Crown. So you can check that out as well. That's a reference you could check if you don't know that song. And on that track, based on how the vocals were used to make that hip-hop beat so powerful and vibrant, and how everything came together beautifully, it showed me that, like, yo, it's more about the work than even the credit or the money or the fame, because all of those you're gonna leave behind. You know, what will be there essentially is the work. And as Ermias Joseph Ashkedome, Nipsey Hussle would say, the marathon continues, and the marathon will always continue. So my heart is with LA, my heart is with Crenshaw, my heart is with Slauson Avenue, and Black Sam, and Copy Supreme, and you know, all of them guys who were a part of the team that made Nipsey Hussle who he was, or who we saw, that shook the world in that regard. We salute you. And we thank you for even including Jamaica in that Victory Lap project, because there's a track called Sucker Proof, another reference to be checked, on Victory Lap album that features Conscience. Conscience is on that track. So I love the rappers who do something for Jamaica. I was talking about Kendrick Lamar track Black of the Berry with Agent Sasko on it. I was talking about Jay-Z with Sizzla vocals and the instrumentals. So, you know, Limitless Love, thank you for stopping by. I'm trying to get back into the groove, you know, and it's been a lot of time. It's been maybe a year or 2 years since I've released an episode. But I've been looking at the content and it inspired me, and I'm like, hey, I need to continue. I need to do some more work. So I'll be trying to bring everything up to the same level. So I know I have about 8 lyric breakdowns and about 2 references to be checked. Hence why I'm doing this one now. And I have about probably 6 or 7 monologues. So I'm trying to get all of the different series with the same amount of episodes. So thank you for being so patient with me. If you're new, welcome to the channel. Please subscribe and check out the other videos. I've been doing some motivational, educational and inspiring videos, you know, and I'm shedding some light on things that could help us as a human species, as an existence, to thrive, to elevate, to move out of this stagnant state of being locked into financial and material gain, and not evolving as it relates to mind and spirit. So blessed love, and I pray that you enjoy the rest of your week and have yourself a great weekend. One love, shalom, peace be unto you.